Today is the day. The embargo for the Quest 3S has finally dropped. Meta sent me the new Quest 3S and I've been using the headset for a few weeks now, and I'm ready to give you the download on what the headset is like, is it worth your time, and what it means for the growing VR industry. So the Quest 3 has been out for a little while now, so this fancy new headset must be a mid-generation upgrade, like a PS5 Pro or something like that, right? No, not at all. The brand new Quest 3S places itself in the market a bit more like Microsoft views S in the Xbox Series S as the cheaper model in its gaming console lineup. To be clear, the Quest 3S is to replace the existing Quest 2. It actually shares quite a lot with the last gen Quest 2. It actually kind of shares more with that headset than it does with the Quest 3 in many ways. We're going to get into it. First up, let's go through the specs of the headset and straight up what you're going to get for the price, which if you haven't heard is an incredibly reasonable $299, which includes the headset and the same two sexy controllers found with the Quest 3. And it comes with a free copy of the new Batman Arkham Shadow game. And in the description below is my official Meta affiliate link that gets you an additional $30 Quest Store credit when you buy one. There's also the same deal for the existing Quest 3. I mean, that's incredible. How can anyone on the fence say no to that, eh? As I say, link in the description. But before we get into why this headset is amazing for virtual reality, I'm going to rinse it a bit. So grab your shower caps and let's do this. So, resolution is the exact same as the Quest 2's 1832 by 1920 per eye. That's 773 pixels in an inch. For reference, the Quest 3 is rocking 2064 by 2208, or 1218 pixels per inch. That means that this Quest 3S is only about 63% of the resolution of the Quest 3. Now, we are talking about the maximum potential resolutions the screens could possibly go to, and not the actual render resolution we see most of the games on the system actually render at. Worth bearing in mind. Look at that a bit like you'd look at this. You may have an 8K PC monitor, but if your PC is a bit older, you might set your games to render out at 1080p to keep the frame rates high, right? Well, likely the same happens with most current gen games we see on the system, so it's not a massive deal breaker for gaming. A unique to VR aspect that can affect how good your games look are the lenses you look through to see those screens. The brand new Quest 3S has the exact same lenses as the Quest 2. Can you see a pattern starting to emerge here? Where the Quest 3 gives you gorgeous edge-to-edge clarity pancake lenses, the Quest 3S has the Fresnel lenses, or Fresnel lenses, however you pronounce that. All previous models of the Meta Quest have had them in the past. It's the same lenses you can find in the PSVR 2. Jumping between the two, I gotta say, I'm a massive fan of the pancake lenses found in the Quest 3, and is the number one selling point to justify an upgrade for me, so it's a real shame not to see them here. I mean, take all of this with a pinch of salt, of course, $299. Like, none of this is a bad deal. In the description below. My issue with the Fresnel lenses is the incredibly small sweet spot they have. You have to line your eyes up with the centre of the lens to get a clear image. They really restrict your eyes from scanning the full screen from within their sockets. To get a good look at things, you find yourself having to fixate on the centre of the lens and move your neck. You gotta keep those peepers locked in the centre to see every little detail. I particularly notice this in games like Ghost of Tabor, where every enemy movement in the peripheral is super important. With these lenses that came with the Quest 2 come the really restricted 3D position IPD adjustment. That's the distance you can set the lenses apart to better line up with your eyes. Where the Quest 3 has a wheel you turn to get a nice consistent range of IPD to best suit you, the Quest 3S has 3 set levels, so you're forced to choose. I sit somewhere between 2 and 3. I can't believe they released this headset with that terrible feature. It's just awful. $299, guys. What's going on here then? Is this just a Quest 2? Well, inside the unit, the processor has had an upgrade. The Quest 3S is actually using the same Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 chip that the Quest 3 has. What that means is, as an industry, we can push forward with what can be achieved within our wireless VR games, in terms of graphical fidelity, frame rates, and calculations to give developers more power to bring out games like Batman Arkham Shadow. We don't want to be held back by old hardware, but also want to have hardware on the market that's still super accessible. I think that's a brilliant move by Meta, and this is a really healthy way to push the VR industry forward. I think the Quest Pro was a bad move for VR gaming. I don't really even think the Apple Vision Pro was a good move for VR, and especially for VR gaming, but that's another debate. This focus on pushing more power to the systems while making the appropriate cuts to keep this accessible is all thumbs up from me. This headset really pushes the industry forward in XR as well. I'm going to get in that a bit later, so bear with me. But it's all starting to make sense now where this sits in the marketplace, right? This headset is predominantly for new adopters to VR. And let me tell you, what an amazing first headset to get you into VR. I can 100% guarantee that if you've never played VR before, or not touched it since you last put your dusty PSVR 1 in a box under the bed, then get yourself to a display unit in the high street and give Batman a go. You'll be stunned. It's really a no-brainer if you're a gamer interested in the concept and want to adopt the technology. There's nothing else I can recommend for the price. Zero competition in my eyes. Now, if you're a Quest 2 owner, would you upgrade to this Quest 3S? That's a harder question to answer. I've been dancing around this question in my head for a while, and I think the answer at the moment has to be either how much do you want to play the Quest 3 range exclusives like Batman, or are you really interested in XR using Colour Passthrough, which I'll get to later. I don't think I would personally do the upgrade for the Quest 2 to Quest 3 visual updates that a lot of developers offer in existing Quest 2 releases. It has to be because you want those shiny new exclusives, and the only ones we have at the moment are Batman Arkham Shadow and Alien Rogue Incursion. Unless you have to play those games, I'd wait it out a bit. The headset isn't going to suddenly jump up in price, but each to their own. You have to make the decision yourself. Of course, if you already own the Quest 3, don't worry about this Quest 3S. You likely already know this, but you have the superior in every way headset. As many of you know, I often don't feature much XR on the channel. I'm kind of all about VR. I found that most XR implementations not to add anything to the real experience, and is not the reason I play games on these headsets. Let's talk about it anyway though. So the Quest 3S actually has a colour pass-through that rivals that of the Quest 3, which is a far improvement from the black and white, grainy pass-through found within the Quest 2. I may not have enjoyed gaming much using the pass-through in XR experiences, but I certainly enjoy it every time I put the headset on to navigate the system's UI or check my phone mid-gaming, that kind of thing. Let's talk about the cameras on the front of the 3S, as they look a little different to the Quest 3, right? So both of the Quest 3 and the 3S have 4 cameras, 2 on the front and 2 on the sides. They also have 2 RGB cameras for the colour pass-through I just mentioned. The Quest 3 has a depth sensor. It's the pip in the middle of those 3 iconic pips on the front. The Quest 3S strips the depth sensor and uses 2 IR flood LEDs and then uses software to determine depth, and the technology is amazing. You'll see this the first time you boot the headset. It automatically starts to scan your room and pick out your wall, the floor and your ceiling. It perfectly matches what's in front of you. It's pretty impressive. So that setup I just mentioned has been well refined in the Quest 3S as well, which is really important as I say, this headset will be a first VR experience for a lot of people. When you boot the headset, it makes it incredibly easy to set up, and you get treated to a nice little fireworks display when you're done. Alrighty, that's my review of the MetaQuest 3S and who I think the headset's for. I think this is an amazing entry level to VR. Don't forget those official Meta affiliate links in the description. You'd be silly not to use them if you're thinking about jumping into the world of virtual reality. Thanks again for watching. My name's Dan. See ya. Hey, today we're going to delve into the future of VR and check out some top tier titles coming to the MetaQuest systems. Straight off the bat, Alien Rogue Incursion. Now this game had me worried for a brief time from that first PSVR 2 trailer, but subsequent trailers have shown that the aliens AI look to be intelligent, the guns look great, and I'm glad to say in that previous trailer where they messed